Think of the magical moments in the history of cinema, unforgettable lines that stick in our minds with just one sentence, that sometimes make us laugh and sometimes make us think. In this video, we will recall those legendary movie lines that have left deep traces in popular culture, that have gone beyond the scenes and touched our lives.
Obi-Wan, may the Force be with you.
The line, "May the Force be with you," is one of the most recognizable and iconic phrases in the Star Wars universe. In the Star Wars universe, the Force is a universal energy field that connects all living things and can be manipulated by characters such as the Jedi and Sith. The Force has two sides. The light side represents peace, wisdom, and goodness. The dark side represents anger, hatred, and the lust for power. The phrase, "May the Force be with you," conveys the wish that this universal energy will be with an individual, guiding and protecting them. In the Star Wars universe, this phrase is used not only as a wish, but also as a message of peace and solidarity. It was first used in 1977 in the movie A New Hope and has had a huge cinematic and cultural impact ever since. It has found its way into popular culture in different contexts and humorous ways. Referenced even in the world of technology and in the political arena, the phrase has become a greeting among fans at events such as Star Wars Day on May 4th.
Captain, my captain.
Sit down, Mr. Anderson.
The line, "Oh Captain, my Captain," comes from the famous poem written by American poet Walt Whitman in 1865. The phrase is a profound symbol of both the poem and its historical context. The poem was written after the assassination of the country's leader Abraham Lincoln in the aftermath of the American Civil War and is an elegy to Lincoln. This famous verse expresses deep sadness, respect, and devotion. The poem describes the tragic loss of a leader after his journey and achievements through the metaphor of a sea captain bringing the ship to a safe harbor. The place of the line in modern culture, however, has gone beyond its poetic meaning. The phrase, which became widely known especially with the movie Dead Poets Society, also symbolizes individual freedom, leadership, and the teacher-student relationship. In the movie, the teacher, played by Robin Williams, uses this poem to teach his students freedom of thought and individuality. His students call him "Oh Captain, my Captain," to show their deep respect and loyalty to their teacher. This usage has led the phrase to symbolize not only respect for authority, but also individual independence and courage.
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
"I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse" is the famous line of the character Don Vito Corleone in the movie The Godfather, based on the novel by Mario Puzo and directed by Francis Ford Coppola. Don Vito Corleone is a mafia boss known for both his intelligence and his cold-bloodedness, and this line provides one of the most striking examples of his power of control and persuasion. The word offer in this sentence might normally seem like a bargain or a mutual agreement, but in Corleone's world, this offer always contains a threat that the other party cannot refuse. In other words, there is no choice but to accept the offer, because refusal would have fatal consequences. In using this line, Don Corleone follows a strategy that is both diplomatic and threatening as a mafia leader who asserts his power by force. The sentence emphasizes the silent but lethal effect of power. It is impossible to refuse because it means almost certain death. In cinematic terms, this line sets not only the character of Don Vito Corleone, but also the overall tone of the movie. While The Godfather romanticizes the life of the mafia, it also shows how dangerous and ruthless the criminal world can be. Corleone's line is a profound insight into how a criminal empire is run and how decisions are made.
The first rule of Fight Club is, you do not talk about Fight Club. The second rule of Fight Club is, you do not talk about Fight Club.
The line, "The first rule of Fight Club is you do not talk about Fight Club," comes from Chuck Palahniuk's 1996 novel Fight Club and David Fincher's 1999 film of the same name. This line is an important point for a deeper understanding of both the basic philosophy of the text and the nature of Fight Club. The line not only emphasizes Fight Club's obligation to maintain secrecy, but also represents a deeper critique of the rules of modern society, forms of communication, and individual identities. Fight Club's first rule, the obligation to don't talk, primarily ensures the group's secrecy. This secrecy protects this violent and chaotic world, which goes against social norms, against the order outside. The group is an illegal entity, and its members behave in ways that are not accepted in the outside world. The rules within the club express, above all, the commitment and loyalty of the participants to each other. Secrecy is a sine qua non for the survival of Fight Club. If the club were to leak out, the purpose of its existence would be destroyed, and its members would be morally endangered. Beyond this rule also contains a profound criticism of communication and secrecy in modern society. Most people today are under pressure to share what they do, think, and feel. With the advent of social media, this tendency has become even stronger. In Fight Club, by contrast, something has to be kept secret. This secrecy is a rebellion against the need for social approval or recognition. Led by Tyler Durden, this group emerges as a reaction to the modern world where everything is openly spoken and shared.
You talking to me? You talking to me?
The line, "You talking to me?" belongs to the character Travis Bickle, played by Robert De Niro in Martin Scorsese's 1976 film Taxi Driver. This line is considered one of the most recognizable and iconic moments in cinema history. Travis looking in the mirror and saying these words to himself reflects a deep psychological analysis as an expression of loneliness, anger, and inner turmoil. In the subtext of this line, Travis has a deep crisis with his own identity. As an individual marginalized by society and unable to find a place in the system, he questions his own existence. He does not feel that he belongs to any community or identity. Therefore, he constantly seeks enemies. In this scene, he actually talks to himself by looking in a mirror. In a sense, this is a symbol of Travis's inner conflict and psychological division. It is as if he is looking for approval or challenge from the outside world. But this challenge is an illusion that exists only in his own mind.
Hasta la vista, baby.
The line, "Hasta la vista, baby," is a memorable phrase uttered by the character T-800, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger in the 1991 film Terminator 2, Judgment Day. The line is used in one of the most critical moments of the movie and has become iconic in popular culture. The basic meaning of the line is a simple farewell in Spanish, such as "see you again" or "goodbye." However, when combined with the cold and emotionless nature of a cybernetic assassin like the T-800, the phrase takes on a menacing sarcasm. What makes the line so powerful is the way and timing of its delivery. The phrase "hasta la vista, baby" is one of the linguistic skills he has acquired in the process and was also previously taught to him by John Connor. The T-800's use of this line supports the central theme of the film, a machine's attempt to become human and begin to understand human emotions. However, in the scene in which the line is used, this linguistic development is combined with violence and destruction, making the line both ironic and threatening. Apart from the context of the line in the movie, the phrase "hasta la vista, baby" has become a part of 90s culture and reinforced Schwarzenegger's personal image. Such lines, which shape the language of cold-blooded and strong heroic characters, especially in action films, provide the audience with a tool that increases the impact of dramatic moments.
We must get the precious. We must get it back. Patience. Patience, my love.
The line, "My precious," is one of the most iconic expressions in the history of cinema and was used by the character Gollum in J.R.R. Tolkien's legendary work, The Lord of the Rings series, and left a deep impression on the audience when it was brought to the big screen under the direction of Peter Jackson. The meaning behind this expression reflects the character's deep psychological turmoil and emphasizes the themes of the work. Gollum is a character torn in two by his attachment to the ring. His innocent side, Smeagol, and his dark side, Gollum, are in constant conflict. My precious, as a symbol of this obsession, dramatically emphasizes both Gollum's loss of humanity and the seductive power of the ring. At the same time, this line shows that the ring is not only an object of power, but also a test of will and dependence. Everyone who possesses the ring is actually confronting their own dark side, and this is one of the strongest elements that feeds into the central conflict of the story.
Turns to me and he says, "Why so serious?"
The line, "Why so serious?" is one of the iconic expressions that have left a striking impact on the history of cinema. In the 2008 film The Dark Knight, Heath Ledger's character Joker utters this line, which perfectly reflects Joker's anarchist and nihilistic point of view and has a profound impact on the audience. This line has become an important symbol of the psychological pressure the Joker exerts on both Gotham City and Batman. With this line, the Joker is not only trying to disturb the other person, but also revealing his cynical approach to the order of society. It is a challenge to rules, social norms, and authority. The Joker symbolizes his belief in chaos with this line, reminding the audience of the dark side of human nature and how fragile order actually is. It also shows the Joker's psychopathological personality and how he sees the world as a place of destruction mixed with fun. With this line, the Joker aims to undermine the values of characters like Batman, who believe in truth and justice. In his eyes, life and order have no meaning. The phrase, "Why so serious?" shows the Joker mocking himself and his pain by using a cold-blooded and disturbing tone of humor when describing the wound he made on his face. This emphasizes that the Joker is not only a symbol of chaos, but also a mirror that reveals the weaknesses of the social order. Ledger's acting further enhances the impact of this line. Even though the Joker is a movie character, with this line, he calls into question the norms and rules of the real world and holds up his own dark reflection to society.
The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist.
The line, "The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was convincing the world he didn't exist," is considered one of the most memorable and influential lines in the history of cinema. This phrase, uttered by the character Verbal Kint in The Usual Suspects, plants seeds of doubt in the minds of the viewers and makes sense of the basis of the intrigues throughout the movie. This statement reflects a deep reflection on the nature of evil. The real danger is an evil that can make people believe it does not exist. The mysterious character Kaiser Söze, at the center of the story, is presented as a figure defined by this very line. There is no proof of his existence, but the traces he leaves behind show how effective his evil is. This line, on the one hand, pushes the audience to question the trustworthiness of the characters, while, on the other hand, it reveals the most insidious form of evil. An unknown, non-existent, or forgotten evil can be the most damaging because people are vulnerable to a threat whose existence they do not acknowledge. The line also reflects human nature's desire to feel safe and the tendency to ignore evil most of the time. Throughout the film, the viewer realizes how evil can exist not only as a physical threat, but as an invisible force that takes over minds.
Say hello to my little friend!
"Say hello to my little friend" is known as one of the most iconic and unforgettable lines in cinema. In the 1983 film Scarface, this line, spoken by the character Tony Montana, played by Al Pacino, symbolizes the character's peak anger and unlimited self-confidence. Tony, who exists with violence and power throughout the movie, challenges the enemies surrounding him with this line. This line reflects the aggressive and uncontrollable nature of Tony Montana, which has carried him to the top throughout his life, but which has also prepared his end. The scene in which the line appears is memorable as a kind of last stand of the character. Even though he is surrounded by his enemies, Tony Montana clearly shows with this line that he prefers to fight rather than surrender. This scene and line in the movie symbolize Tony's personality that defies social rules and disregards moral values, while also representing a criticism that questions the limits of power and ambition. The cinematic impact of this line shows the audience the character's determination and willingness to fight until the last moment, while at the same time conveying a striking message about how violence and criminality can have devastating consequences.
You shall not pass!
The line, "You shall not pass," has become iconic in the world of cinema and is used powerfully in The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, to powerful dramatic effect. It was uttered by Gandalf, played by Ian McKellen, in the Mines of Moria against the Balrog, and symbolizes the character's courage and sacrifice. With this line, Gandalf stands out not only as a blocker, but also as a leader who risks his life to protect his friends. This line is not only an indication of the character's strength and determination, but also a symbol for the audience to stand against fear. The moment the line is uttered, the tempo of the movie reaches its peak, and it dramatically reveals Gandalf's authority and willpower while dragging the audience into a deep excitement. His courageous stance, not only to eliminate a threat but also to prevent evil, makes him one of the most unforgettable figures of fantasy literature. This moment, which remains in the audience's memory, emphasizes not only Gandalf's sacrifice, but also the importance of heroes who can afford to give up themselves to protect the good.
This is Sparta!
"This is Sparta" is one of the most memorable phrases in the history of cinema, uttered by the character King Leonidas to the Persian ambassador in the 2006 film 300 Spartans. This line, memorable for Gerard Butler's powerful performance, symbolizes Sparta's fearlessness and uncompromising struggle for independence. In the scene in which the line occurs, this line, which comes in response to the Persian Empire's demand for Sparta's surrender, strikingly expresses Leonidas's commitment to the freedom and values of his country, emphasizing Sparta's military discipline, courage, and honor. This scene makes the audience feel the power of a people armed with dedication and resilience. With this line, King Leonidas not only challenges the enemy, but also reminds the audience how strong beliefs and loyalty are an irresistible motivator. This line has become a slogan that reflects the warrior spirit of all Spartans and is firmly entrenched in popular culture as a universal message symbolizing the determination of peoples fighting for freedom.
Remember, with great power comes great responsibility. Are you afraid?
The line, "With great power comes great responsibility," is one of the most influential and profoundly meaningful statements in the history of cinema and forms the core moral message of the Spider-Man franchise. Peter Parker's Uncle Ben Parker's exhortation emphasizes not only the responsibility of a superhero, but also the responsibility of every individual towards society. With this statement, Uncle Ben tells Peter that the powers he possesses do not belong to him alone, and that he should use them for the right purposes. Power is not a privilege, but an obligation to others. This line is a turning point in the character development of a young hero. After his personal losses, Peter better understands the value of this statement and builds his Spider-Man identity on this principle. The line also resonates with the audience, implying an awareness of the corrupting influence of power and the use of power for the good of others. This line, which resonates widely in popular culture, has become a universal principle, reminding us of the responsibilities that ordinary people have on a small or large scale, and has been engraved in the history of cinema as an unforgettable admonition on the importance of moral responsibility.
That you are a slave, Neo. Like everyone else, you were born into bondage, born into a prison that you cannot smell or taste or touch. A prison for your mind.
This iconic line is one of the most striking things Morpheus says to Neo in The Matrix when he explains the system's invisible but powerful hold over mankind. It is a wake-up call not only to Neo, but also to the entire audience. Morpheus's words make the audience question the unnoticed control mechanisms of modern society and make them think about how humans may be trapped in an order without realizing it. Morpheus's speech to Neo on stage has a profound impact by addressing the idea of a mental and spiritual slavery that goes far beyond a physical prison. The power of the line lies in its emphasis on the human mind. Through Morpheus's words, the audience is confronted with the forces behind ordinary lives and the invisible chains of the system. This scene gives a sense of the insidious workings of ideologies and systematic constraints that overshadow the free will of the individual. Even in a science fiction production like The Matrix, this line leads the audience to a philosophical starting point that pushes them to question themselves. The metaphors used in the film leave an impressive mark on the viewer's mind, and the cinematographic impact of the lines is intense enough to change the view of individual freedom and reality. The invisible prison that Morpheus tells Neo about represents a world of illusion in which societies are unconsciously involved. Throughout the movie, this scene leaves a strong question mark in the viewer's minds. Do we live in such a prison? This deep questioning transcends the boundaries of cinema and ignites a social debate.
That they may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom!
In Braveheart, William Wallace's line, "They can take our lives, but never our freedom," is one of the most unforgettable lines in the history of cinema. Fighting for the freedom of Scotland, Wallace's words instill a deep courage and hope in both the audience and the characters in the movie. Wallace's cry is a powerful call to sacrifice for the ideal of freedom and to stand resolutely against all odds. The impact of this line lies not only in the meaning of the words, but also in Wallace's determination as a leader and his unwavering belief in freedom. Standing up against a large army, Wallace expresses in the most striking way the impact of individual freedom on the human spirit. The movie enhances the thrilling impact of this line by immersing the audience in the atmosphere of medieval Scotland. The combination of the words with the character's determination and the emotional intensity of the scene reinforces the admiration for Wallace's struggle for freedom and makes the line indelible in the memory.
My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius, commander of the armies of the North, general of the Felix Legions, loyal servant to the true Emperor Marcus Aurelius.
In Gladiator, this famous line of Maximus Decimus Meridius brings the character's determination to the climax in his quest for justice and revenge. The words of Maximus, who survives as a slave in the gladiatorial arenas, define him not only as a warrior, but also as a man who is loyal to the memory of those he has lost and who will stop at nothing for revenge. The power of the line is built on Maximus's commitment to his past, his loved ones, and his honor. The powerful structure of the line immortalizes Maximus's identity bravery and determination, emphasizing his stance against the system that oppresses him, his desire for justice for those he has lost, and his unshakable resilience. This scene, which leaves a deep impression on the audience, summarizes the inspiring story of Maximus's ability to stand up even in one of the darkest moments, having lost everything. The character's line paints the portrait of a hero who pursues justice and honor even at the cost of death, and is engraved in the history of cinema as an unforgettable moment.
Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room. What is going on?
The line, "Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is a war room," in Dr. Strangelove brilliantly reflects the paranoia of the Cold War era and the absurdity of the quest for power. On the one hand, it shows the character's inability to grasp the seriousness of the situation, and on the other, it reveals how absurd war can become. This line, which perfectly reflects director Stanley Kubrick's sense of black humor, actually criticizes how the concepts of war and peace become meaningless in bureaucratic conflicts of interest. This scene makes the audience both laugh and think. By deepening the irony, it reveals the contradictions of the environment in which world leaders make war decisions. The argument that erupts in the war room, just as the security of the world is being discussed, makes the audience feel the contradictions in human nature and the fragility of diplomatic processes. The power of this line in the film makes Dr. Strangelove unforgettable in the history of cinema by showing how a serious subject such as war can be handled in a cynical and critical language.
I'm the king of the world!
In the movie Titanic, the line, "I am the king of the world," shouted by Jack on the bow of the ship with open arms, symbolizes the exuberance of youth and the unlimited desire for freedom. This self-confident cry, raised against the gigantic structure of the ship and the infinity of the ocean, reflects Jack's defiance of the class distinctions of society and his desire to take control of his own destiny. In this scene, the audience feels Jack's vitality and excitement for life and connects with his free-spirited character. The cinematic impact of this line is amplified as Jack feels invincible amidst the majesty of the Titanic and the vastness of the sea. The sheer euphoria of the moment gives the viewer a sense of confidence and hope that in that moment, Jack can leave all the challenges in the world behind. This line, which has become one of the iconic moments of Titanic, makes the excitement and happiness brought by freedom permanent in the history of cinema.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
The line, "You're going to need a bigger boat" in Jaws is an expression that engraves the sudden realization of horror into the history of cinema. This line, uttered by Sheriff Brody when he sees the gigantic shark for the first time, quickly raises the tension and makes the scene unforgettable despite its short and ordinary structure. By revealing the extent of the fear in a simple sentence, Brody both allows the audience a moment of relief and expresses the seriousness of the shark threat with a humorous undertone. The effect of this line is that the audience is suddenly made to feel the enormity of the danger the characters face. In Steven Spielberg's film, which builds tension gradually, this line is almost a verbal explosion of the fear that is surfacing. As the audience experiences fear and despair at the same time with Brody's reaction, they grasp the frightening dimensions of the event. The sincerity and unexpectedness of the line transforms it from a mere horror movie line into a cult favorite. The tension that builds throughout the movie reaches its climax with this line, inviting the audience to be alert to the unknown danger in the depths of the water.
That some birds aren't meant to be caged. Their feathers are just too bright.
The line, "Some birds don't fit in a cage, their feathers are too bright," in The Shawshank Redemption has a profound impact in terms of glorifying the desire for freedom, the beauty and inner strength of the human spirit. Red's words suggest that especially characters like Andy Dufresne, who can remain independent and resilient in life, cannot give up on freedom. It invites the audience to reflect on the special and powerful nature of individuals who manage to stay true to themselves even in the face of adversity and who do not succumb to oppression. The effect of this line, combined with the longing for freedom, is a philosophical reflection on the power of survival. The metaphor of the cage represents Andy's belief in his inner freedom even in a limited environment such as prison, and gives the audience the message that the free spirit can never be suppressed. This inner glimpse into the depths of the characters inspires admiration for the beauty and resilience of the human spirit. With this sentence, the film reminds the audience of the belief in hope and freedom, and perpetuates in the history of cinema the respect for those who can maintain hope despite the challenging conditions of life.
It does not do to dwell on dreams, Harry, and forget
In the movie Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, Albus Dumbledore's line, "It is not good to daydream and forget what you have experienced," carries a deep message symbolizing the search for wisdom and balance. It shows how important it is to accept the facts and the present moment in life in order to find one's own path. Dumbledore's advice reminds Harry, who has suffered great loss at a young age, and the audience of the risk of neglecting the future by clinging to the dreams of the past. With Dumbledore's words, the audience begins to think about the importance of recognizing the value of the moment and accepting reality. No matter how strong the temptation to indulge in dreams, these words remind us that being aware of the moment makes one stronger and more resilient. Dumbledore's words deepen the character's wisdom and add a timeless piece of advice to the film's magical atmosphere by presenting the audience with the necessity of striking a balance between hopes and dreams.
I came here tonight because when you realize you want to spend the rest of your life with somebody, you want the rest of your life to start as soon as possible.
Harry's line in "When Harry Met Sally" leaves a deep mark on the movie as a touching confession that expresses the sincere and impetuous nature of love in its purest form. The moment Harry realizes that he has found meaning in his life with Sally, he puts aside all his plans for the future and immediately desires to be with her. This phrase describes the intense feeling of love that makes it difficult to wait and makes you want to live the moment quickly, while at the same time offering a powerful reflection of the bond between two people. In Harry's words, the viewer feels the longing to find a soulmate, and the turning point when waiting becomes meaningless. The warmth and sincerity of Harry's words are impressive in reflecting the deep desire for commitment in relationships, and it is a strong feeling of wanting to spend your life with someone, a feeling so strong that you don't want to lose it even for a moment.
And no dream is ever just a dream.
The line, "No dream is ever just a dream," in Stanley Kubrick's last film, Eyes Wide Shut, is an expression that has an important place in the history of cinema and pushes the audience to deep questioning. This sentence puts forward the idea that dreams are a gateway to our unconscious desires, fears, and repressed emotions. In the film, the gradual blurring of the boundaries between dream and reality makes the audience think about the inner world of the characters and the influence of the unconscious. Through this expression, Kubrick reveals the inner conflicts of individuals and the aspects of their desires hidden behind masks. Although dreams are often seen as images that only appear during sleep, the film argues that this is much deeper. In reality, every dream has an underlying meaning, a hidden message about our daily lives. With this sentence, Kubrick explores the invisible side of dreams and takes the audience on their own inner journeys. Yes, I think I have explained the unforgettable movie lines in detail. So, which is your favorite line? Don't forget to tell us in the comments. Also, I would love it if you write your video content ideas that you would like to see in the comments. I hope you enjoyed my video. If you liked it, you can like my video. Until I see you in my next videos.